Madam Chair, we are being recorded and streamed live on YouTube. The meeting is yours.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Michelle Gillespie, and I'm the chair of the Design Review Committee meeting. The open meeting of the Design Review Committee is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, the town of Northborough has been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. All members of the Design Review Committee are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows the Design Review Committee to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to the Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such is required by law. This meeting design review will not feature public comment. Confirming members. I will now call out the board members, and if you can say you're here, that would be great. Diana?
Here.
Scott, Dave?
Here.
Lisa?
Here.
And Tom?
Here.
Okay. The meeting guidelines are the chair will invite each speaker or applicant on the agenda by name to make a presentation and speak to their application. Participants will provide their full name and hold until their name is called. Each speaker will be asked to mute their phone or computer when not speaking and to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. Those responding will be asked to wait until the floor is yielded to them by the chair. Speakers who wish to respond to the comments of others do so through the chair, taking care to identify themselves. Each vote taken by the board or committee will be conducted by roll call vote. All right, and I think we're all set to start the meeting.
You need to bring everybody in, Michelle, or
Yep.
have Scott do that.
So Scott, if you want to bring in the applicant that we're working with tonight.
I'll bring in Nick and James and confirm the other applicants. Here comes Nick and James.
Okay. Hi, Nick. Hi, James. Can you hear us? Nick, can you hear me? Nick, you're
Yes.
on mute.
Yep.
You're off of mute. Okay, thank you. And I think James, we're waiting to connect.
So Nick, I have a person who's dialing in on an iPhone. Would that be Tim, do you believe?
No, is it the last three numbers 099?
It may be. There's no phone number showing up. I can let them in if you don't
Yeah,
recognize them.
Tim's on an iPhone. Yeah.
I'll let him in. If you don't recognize them, then I can remove them. They're coming now. Gonna guess that's Tim.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I think, Tim, can you hear us?
You're muted, Tim.
We
Yeah,
just need
I
to
can hear
wait.
you.
Okay, Tim's here. We're still waiting for James to connect via audio, and then Nick is here.
Madam Chair, who is, Tim, who is 099 cell phone number? Is that you?
No, that's James.
All right, I'm gonna let James in on his cell phone now.
Hi, James, can you hear us?
Hello?
Hi, James, can you hear us?
Yes, I can now. Yep.
Okay, great. So we
Michelle, I
have,
want to see, Michelle, I want to see
Okay.
which feed James is on.
okay,
James, can you speak again, please? Okay. Unmute yourself, please, James. Are you there, James?
Yeah, I hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, you have two feeds. I'm going to remove the other feed. That was the first one you were trying to connect.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
And I'm going to rename you. Okay, and Tim, I'm going to rename you to be Tim. How's that sound?
That'll work out.
Okay, I'm going to work hard at it. Hold on. Okay, we have a Tim, a James, and a Nick. The meeting is all yours again, Madam Chair.
perfect, thank you. Okay, James, will you be presenting tonight?
Yes, but I can't see you now. I'm getting this message about leave meeting update available with the choices of update or later. I think I want to say later.
Can you still hear us?
I can hear you. I just can't see anything.
Is that because you're on your iPhone?
No, I am not on. I'm on a landline from our office.
So if you're on a landline, if he's on a landline, you wouldn't be able to see anything, right?
But I have the computer connection.
Oh, the
I
computer.
was
connection.
able to see all of you just a minute ago.
Oh,
Does anybody here plan on sharing screens outside of James?
I
Or
can.
James, are you intending to share your screen?
I was thinking I would because I've got all the attachments queued up. So
Because you have
should
no
I
video.
click in again?
yeah,
Correct.
yeah, so
If you want, I can remove you and you can try again from your desktop if you like.
Scott, I think what he's doing is he's calling in and using that, and then he's using his laptop as well.
Oh, okay.
Or
Try,
the
try again
PC.
from your
Michelle's
laptop.
correct.
Yeah,
All right, try again from your laptop. I'll let you in.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is that your dog, Nick?
Yes,
Huh.
sorry.
Quite all right.
Tearing
He
something
did-
apart.
He's yet to make an appearance. He's just talking.
Yep.
Meeting passcode 322398. Okay.
It is 322398.
Yep. Unable to join this meeting. The host removed you from the meeting.
Let me do this. I will send you another invite.
Okay. So you can't retract the removal, hmm?
I could try. I don't know if there's a means to do
No,
that.
no, I just it's easier to go over well-trod ground.
Yeah. Pull up your email.
Hmm.
I'm refreshing the send receive every few seconds. Just haven't Hasn't come through yet.
I'm working on it, James. And one more try, hang on. Okay. I just sent it to you, James.
Okay, I will keep checking here to read through. Oh, there. At that moment, something came through from Scott Charpentier.
That would be me.
Oh, I didn't realize you were also the, okay, I've got to join Zoom meeting, but it's not as a hyperlink. What do I do with that? The join Zoom meeting there did not have it as a hyperlink. So I'm going to go to the internet and try inserting that. Oh. Yeah, try inserting that and then paste. So, okay, this should do it. 322.398. I didn't realize you were a man of so many hats, Scott.
Apparently the hat I'm wearing right now is a little tight because it's not working. I'm gonna send you another one with hyperlinks in case that one didn't work.
Yeah, this, I sort of here, but now I'm at a, it's asking me to join meeting, enter meeting ID or personal link name.
Meeting ID is the number.
So, the 871?
871, yep.
Didn't ask me that before. Okay, oh. Okay. Now it wants the passcode. The passcode is 322398, right?
Yep.
I just keep cycling through, unable to join this meeting, and then that one, James, join, passcode. Time I insert the passcode, it says unable to join the meeting, but also at the same time sends up a message suggesting that I try and join the meeting, and then asking me to put in the meeting ID and passcode again. It's like an endless loop of this.
I'm gonna try another method.
Wow, that just doesn't want to.
Kathy,
Yeah,
while we wait for James, is there anything else that the design review can be reviewing? And then,
sure. I can go over two things with you. You're scheduled for next Thursday, November 5th, to meet with Judy Barrett on the design guidelines at 6 o'clock. Judy's available from 6 to 7:30 and then has to leave for another meeting. So two things. I wanted to find out from all of you if you were okay with an hour and a half. I was thinking that it should be at least 2 hours that we have her undivided attention. But she's available from 6 to 7:30. And then she anticipates, as of today, that she will be sending out the draft guidelines to me on Sunday. And is, depending on what time she sends them to me on Sunday, I'll forward them to you immediately. But if she, we all know Judy works like, kooky hours, 3 a.m. So if they come through like that, I'll send them out to you on Monday. So I wanted to ask you all if that was enough time, assuming that she, stays true to this schedule. I was hoping that she was going to do this a week ago, but so right now it looks like she's going to send them out on Sunday. And then you have her for an hour and a half on Thursday. So wanted to find out if that gives you all enough time, given, whatever your schedules are. And then is an hour and a half enough time for you to meet with her?
I would actually think an hour and a half is plenty of time for the design standards. Don't you?
Okay.
I mean,
Assuming the technology is working, yes.
yeah.
And then she's also pointed out to me, Tom, she has all of the photos that you had sent, but what she drafted doesn't necessarily match the photos that you
So,
sent to her.
I'm trying to see the,
Because I think on the, I haven't
So the
seen the
hot link is
draft
not working,
guidelines
you said,
yet, but
right?
I'm thinking that the most of those, what her guidelines are going to show is not having, the garage like out front, prominent on the facade, which, we all know that seems to be how houses are, the average home, I don't know what's the correct term, but, is designed. So,
what browser are you using?
so anyways,
Try a
if
different browser?
if people are okay with them coming, to you on Sunday,
You'd find maybe it's
possibly
easier as
Monday
a Google
morning.
guy. And I didn't know you had 2 screens. I didn't know, I've
Yeah,
have
that's fine
other
with
people.
me.
Okay, so that
You-
where I see
You did on the
Diana
Zoom, you had your
nodding,
phone that you were talking on,
Dave,
and
Lisa.
then you had your computer that you were
Okay.
gonna share, and I removed
Okay,
one of
so
them
we'll
because
go forward
um,
with
we don't
with
want
that.
2
then.
of
We're staying
James's
on schedule
participating.
for November 5th. And then the other
No, it
thing
wouldn't have been a problem. It is now, though.
the other thing I just wanted to review real quickly with everyone is at your September meeting, September 16th, you closed out 56 Hudson Street.
I don't know what's relevant or not. I'm just trying to provide another possible solution.
Scott,
And the,
you might want to mute yourselves and then come back on because we're talking over you. There you go.
just,
Okay,
okay.
thanks. Good, thanks.
So you had finished off with 56 Hudson Street, which is the Maytech building. You had finished off with that on the 16th, and the Zoning Board of Appeals met with the applicant this past Tuesday, and it was continued until the November meeting because they want to go out and do a site visit. And I just wanted to make sure that all of what I have for you from comments is basically that you were what they presented as far as the color scheme was acceptable to you, and the site plan was acceptable. So that's what I'm going to put forth in a memo, unless someone has a different recollection. But that's what I have down for notes for you to pass on to the ZBA.
Does anyone have anything other than that? I think we all agreed that we approved the site plan and the colors.
Yeah. Okay.
Tom, are you good?
I can't vote on it.
Dave, you're on mute.
No.
Dave, you're on mute.
Dave, you're on mute.
And there was no landscaping on that one.
Right, that was on Hudson Street, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Diana, you were good with it?
Yes.
And Lisa,
Okay.
you were good with everything that was presented? Yep, so we're good.
Okay.
So Kathy, you have the drawing submission that James provided
I
you-
do.
on your laptop. Is it available on your?
I don't have them on my laptop, but I can get them there.
If you
I've got
remote
them all
desk,
up on my screen if you want to,
Oh, you've got them on your screen already, Di?
yeah.
Diana-
you wish.
yeah, Diana,
Okay.
if you can share that, James is comfortable going forward with the presentation.
Okay, I'll do that now.
I just hadn't loaded them onto my laptop, but
You just have to enable that I can share.
Yep, I'm
thanks, Diana.
drilling in there now. You should be able to now, Diana.
Okay. Can everyone see that?
Yep.
So what do we want to begin with?
So which plan are we starting with?
Rendering.
So just to recap, at the last meeting, we had a couple of different specific directions from the committee. One was that to mitigate the issue of not having provided a 50-foot vegetative buffer at the south boundary of the property to a residential use buffering this site, which is partly business and partly residential, that we would do a stockade fence at the property boundary and some at that south boundary toward Del Greco at the bottom of the sheet, and also some plantings. And the applicant contacted the Del Grecos and asked them would they have any objection to doing plantings on their property. They said that they had none. And so what you see on the rendering plan at the line, maybe a little tougher to see on this one with all the nice coloring than on the landscape plan, but we propose a 6-foot-high stockade fence with lattice top. And that's to be visual buffer and to stop headlights there. And we propose plantings on both sides of that property line, some on the Del Greco's property, and a few also on same side as this development. So that's what we did to try and address that. There was another discussion point was was signage and the sign, and we looked carefully into what is required because this is a split district property, and again, the south part of this property is in Residence C, where the north 2/3 or so is in Business West. And we made an inquiry to Mr. Federico, and we quickly determined that if we were going to put a sign where we had initially intended, immediately to the left, looking in from the road to the south side of the proposed driveway access, that would require a variance. It's you can't see it on the nice rendering, but on the landscaping plan, immediately just north of that, you see that large 30-inch oak tree that's to remain. It's I'm trying to describe it. Well, the sign is to be essentially on the applicant's property, immediately in front of that 9,600 square foot building, just inside on the property, just off of the state highway layout. And the applicant would use a sign which does not require any variances, as very similar to the one used at 130 West Main Street for another of their properties. One of the other larger items in regard to the landscaping plan was Dave expressed without trying to put words in your mouth, with that it was good that we had such a density of planting. He expressed a little dissatisfaction with just the overall scheme and layout of things. And we brought in Larry Green, landscape architect, to look at that. And on the plan in front of you, what you see are his plans, which are to have a series of different trees at the highway layout limit of the property, in front of the smaller building, which has its short face toward the road. There'd be some pear trees. As you get towards the gap between the two buildings, you'd have dogwoods. And further south, unfortunately, he used a couple of species that I have to confess I didn't even know existed. Parotia or Parotia, I'm probably butchering that, and a Stuartia. So, but the basic plan was that he proposed some more trees at the edge of the state highway layout, some smaller shrubs immediately to the west side of those, and again, it may be a little harder to see on this rendering plan, which looks so nice, than on the landscape plan, but what you have clearly noted on the landscape plan and is a little easier to see is a 4-foot high single concave picket fence that is proposed, and that is about 4 feet off the pavement all along there to give some room for snow storage, and it will even right away initially will give some visual barrier before all the plantings have really gotten going. So that fence extends past that northeast corner of the of all the proposed pavement to add a little extra protection visually to the dumpster behind the back right corner of the 7,000 square foot building, as Tom was suggesting, doing some extra visual buffering there. Larry Green, again, the landscape architect hired to look at this, also proposed some new plantings in front of the building buildings and towards the Route 20 side. I know Dave expressed some objections or reservations, I guess is more like it, that sometimes in such places these things don't get quite kept up, and it's not worthwhile. And there was issues of is there going to be a heat island effect that affects these? But the applicant would like to at least try and go forward with some plantings at the entrances to each of these buildings. He's done a pretty good job on the applicant has on their other properties and keeping up the plantings, and they'd like to at least try and do that here. Even if Dave's reservation about it turns out to be to come to fruition, they'd at least like to try and do this here. So it's not a matter of plantings around the buildings instead of plantings elsewhere. It's plantings in addition to plantings and fencing elsewhere. So those were the biggest things that I could describe to you. I guess I'd try and answer any questions, but also obviously Nick Muskoff and Tim Shea are here, and they'd be prepared to discuss the proposed elevation changes on the buildings. But I can try and answer any questions in regard to the landscaping placement. We did work quite a bit with Larry Green in preparing this, and try to relay to him all of the reservations and the questions and concerns that the committee had expressed, so that he knew the full context of what he was looking at. And this is what he came up with, again, using giving the proposed fencing towards the Del Greco. Del Greco's actually adding a picket fence on the Route 20 side of these buildings, and going away from what were more shrubs to more trees on the southwest cutoff edge of the plantings.
Thanks, James. I appreciate it. Dave, do you want to begin the discussion on the landscaping?
Okay, here we go. Yeah, I think you did a much improved job here, without a doubt. Couple things that I see that I have some questions on, actually. On the side towards the houses, I guess that would be the southern
South?
side. Yep. He has some shrubbery that's on the lower side here. How close is when I drive by, that house is pretty close. So if in the evening, this time of day, if someone's coming around the front side of the first building there, the headlights, how close is that actually towards that house right there?
That house is actually about 70 feet from the property line. So it would be pretty tough for somebody, even if they get the headlights over the fence, to hit anything on this house but a second floor window maybe.
So would we just kind of doing a evergreen just right across that, just screen that whole side out, just for headlights? That would be kind of one of my suggestions right there. The only other suggestion, and I didn't go in depth around the two buildings, but the arborvitae up in the northern side there, I would definitely select a variety that's deer resistant, because we got plenty of them here in town. And then the same with the pear, I would go with a variety of pear that definitely is ice resistant, or at least I wouldn't say ice resistant because none of them are, but just a little hardier. Otherwise,
Dave,
you did a very good job at changing up the front.
Just so I understand, I have to confess my ignorance of which arborvitae may or may not be deer resistant. You're saying that the ones that were proposed at the north boundary, the deep root spire arborvitae, are you saying that's not a deer resistant kind?
Honestly, there's so many different varieties. Like green giant are usually what's readily available out of Weston nurseries, or even Bigelow's. They're ones that are a little more hardy or deer resistant. But what do they spec out here? They spec'd out. Hang on a second. TS, I believe.
Yeah, it's the deep root that are listed on the plan.
Yeah,
there's two different kinds: deep root at the north boundary, and this is an interesting spelling. Smaragd, Smaradg,
and again,
in the front.
There's so many different varieties. Not something that we normally run across in the nurseries around here on a daily basis. So, don't know. It'd be a good Google. But again, variety and what's readily available. I'm usually planting what's readily available in Weston and Bigelow. Those are two varieties I haven't come across. So again, it's going to be a quick Google search on that.
Okay. And could I ask you to repeat your other point was in regard to what I forgot? Sorry, I was trying to get the notes in regard to the arborvitae.
Just on the pear trees, you just want to make sure you have a variety that is hardier, like a Bradford pear, beautiful pear tree, but very susceptible to ice storms. Again, quick Google search on, the variety of pear, the Chandelier pear, just make sure it is, it's not susceptible to easy breakage in ice. That's all.
Okay.
Hey, Dave, I have a question on the three Persian, Parotia, that are right in front of the sign. Are they going to obscure the sign as they mature, or what's the scale of those three?
They will definitely. I mean, how high is that sign? The sign is a lower sign, correct?
It's 4 feet high.
No, actually, the sign would be 8 feet and change.
Okay.
So that will definitely, you're in competition with the sign, without a doubt.
Okay. Maybe we'd cut that down to 2 then of those, because the one closest to it, as you say, may be an issue, but the other 2 are a little further off, and maybe they wouldn't provide such a block.
I think if you slide the third one back, because what he did as far as
Yeah.
placement's really good with the 3 and the 2, and just how he designed everything. 'Cause you don't want to do a 2 and then a onesie off. It's going to look odd, but I mean, with the sign there, let me just go to this. Hang on a second.
James, is there a fence along the southwest cutoff?
There's a fence proposed about 4 feet off the pavement, a 4-foot high single concave picket fence. So if you went into the parking lot and you looked towards southwest cutoff, you'd see lawn immediately off the curb for 4 feet. Then you'd see a 4-foot high picket fence. On the other side of it, you'd see various shrubs, viburnum, et cetera, as you look left or right. And beyond that, you'd see some trees, and then you might see the top of the grass slope leading down towards the Route 20 curb.
And is the photograph you submitted of that southwest cutoff fence, not the stockade fence?
That's correct. That's the picket fence to be 4 feet off the pavement on the southwest cutoff side of both buildings. That's not the 6-foot high stockade fence with lattice top.
So are you going to submit a photo of the stockade fence?
Sure, if you wish. Yeah.
Are they both made out of vinyl or wood, or what's the material?
They'll both be vinyl.
I don't know.
What about moving the sign to the other side of the existing oak, or is there not enough space for that?
I don't think we heard you, Dave.
What about taking your sign and moving it to the other side of the existing oak by the entrance, or is there not enough room for you?
We can't actually, Dave, because that would put it into the Residence C
Residential.
zoning district, which would
Okay.
require a variance.
All
So,
right.
yeah, our first choice was south of the driveway. Our
Yeah.
second choice would have been north of the driveway, but both of them, unfortunately, would require that extra variance, and we're
That's too
just
bad.
trying to avoid. Yeah,
Well,
yes,
I thought that would have been a good spot for you.
yeah.
Tim and Nick, would there be any consideration to applying for that variance with, support from the design review committee? And then if for some reason that variance wasn't granted, then you could move it to this proposed location?
I mean, ideally, moving it closer to the entryway would be the more ideal location. We just figured it was going to be a stretch asking for that variance.
I would certainly support moving the sign closer to the entry. That makes more sense.
I agree completely. I think it would be, to me, that it calls for it right there. It should be the other side, of that oak tree, without a doubt.
Is that ZBA or planning?
That's ZBA.
ZBA,
Yeah.
that's who you're before.
Could that be handled at our next ZBA hearing, or?
Yes, you could just, the way I advertise everything is it covers, if you need to add something, you can just send in a letter, send it to me, with a revised plan, saying that, you want to request a variance, and, fill out the form or the variance questions. And then that would just be added to the file.
Well, if we have your endorsement, I think we'll try it.
Tim, I would totally do that.
Diana and Lisa, how do you feel about that?
I'd like to see the sign. I'd like to see what they're gonna do with the sign.
It looks like the one at 130 Main Street.
If I could share my screen, I could show you what the 130 Main Street sign looks like.
Okay, thank you.
Michelle, to answer your question, I also think it should go closer to the drive.
Okay.
Did that actually work?
Yep.
Okay, yep.
All right, that's fine. Thank you.
That looks good. Yep. So I think the board's all in agreement to supporting you requesting the variance and we can send a letter over for your next ZBA hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we just discussed the sign. Does anyone else have any other feedback on the landscaping?
I just have to ask, the picket fence is not very, it's more residential looking, certainly a scallop picket fence.
Lisa, we can't hear you.
The picket fence looks more residential than it does commercial when I looked at the picture. Does anybody else feel that that's a little bit more of a take away from the building?
Well, the fence is going to be, again, from the perspective of the driver going by, you're going to have both a line of different sorts of trees in front of that, and also smaller shrub plantings. You're not going to actually see the fence quite so clearly and conspicuously as shown on that picture. So I understand what you're saying. It wouldn't be quite, like I say, so out there.
Yeah, well, I mean, especially a scallop. If you went straight, at least it looks a little bit more. That's just my opinion.
That's the problem with these landscape architects. They're very artsy.
Okay, any other comments?
I guess with the fences, I would say that those are in perpetuity, right? If anything happens to them, they just get replaced.
Sure.
We
Yes.
could make that a condition. Would you agree to that condition?
Yes.
Of course.
Okay. So if the fence falls down or something, they'll put it back up. Okay. So if everyone's in agreement with the landscaping and with the signage, is all the board of all the committee members agreement with the landscaping plan and the signage? Yep. Okay. So can we go back to the building? Have we come into full agreement with the building design?
Actually, Michelle, can I just follow up on one question about the, on the southerly side where Dave suggested that some sort of evergreen be added on the applicant's side of that fence?
Okay.
So I just want to make sure that you're all in agreement with that.
I believe that house is a ranch, just so everybody understands.
Well, actually, Kathy, actually what's already proposed there on the Del Greco side of the fence are, let me get this right, 3 Colorado blue spruce. Try saying that 10 times fast. Also, there were some laurel, and what's the HY? So there actually is some evergreen proposed there.
But I think, Dave, if what I understood you to be saying is in that area where the plantings are on the abutters side of the fence, I think, or at least I thought what Dave was saying was that there should be some evergreen plantings on the Del Greco side or the Shea side of the
Kathy, those spruce are on the Del Greco side.
Right, the spruce are kind of set back almost on the back side of the proposed building. Those are the three over there. What I was saying is almost where that cursor's going around, all that stuff is low, right?
Right in there.
That's all low stuff right there. What I was saying is if the car comes around and if they go, instead of going out, if they go the other direction, just to really screen off, you know, even if you take the blue spruce and just go straight across, just to guarantee you don't have any, you know, issues long-term, just go right across there and just give it a complete screen and call it a day.
So so you're suggesting continuing beyond where the 3 are proposed, continuing west with some more?
Well, there's a whole stretch that doesn't have any plantings. And I think
But there's existing trees there, and we're not proposing to cut it down. The scalloped line there by the property boundary is that existing tree line.
No,
That's why the fence stopped there.
What's there for tree line? Is that evergreen? Is that deciduous?
It's more deciduous though, Dave, it is.
Okay. So that's just to put some evergreen, either side or whatever, just something in there to block it up. You know, that was all, just to make sure we have.
I get you.
And I'm just thinking headlights this time of year. That's all I was thinking.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay. So how about, are you all set, Kathy, with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, James, can we go over to the building design now, and we'll segue over to discuss.
And this is where Nick Muskoff is going to take over in the discussion, and I will mostly just listen.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so on our larger building, the 9,600 square foot building, we added overhangs over the entryways. These overhangs will be 16 feet wide with a 612 pitch, and they will project out from the front of the building 3 feet. And we decided to do this to help fill in the space on the flat front of the building.
I have a question. How far off the ground are they?
10 feet off the finished floor.
Okay.
And they'll be 4 feet tall.
Well, okay.
With the 6 pitch.
It looks to me like they're higher than that, but
This is 7 feet to the top of the windows and the doors.
Yeah.
With a 3 foot space.
Okay.
And then on the smaller building on the right elevation facing Route 20, we added a large overhang. This is 25 feet wide, again with a 6 pitch. That will make this 6 feet 3 inches tall. Again, the 3 foot overhang, and these doors are applied doors on the side of the building. They're not actual doors, they're just faux doors. They'll be made out of like a PVC material and then painted, attached to the side of the building. Again, 10 feet off the floor.
I appreciate the effort. I'm not sure. I mean, as we said at the end of the last meeting, they are big metal buildings. So part of me would rather just see, the actual materials than putting faux things on, like the canopy over it that doesn't actually function. But other people may have different feelings about that. We talked some about breaking up the scale last time so that you have 4 occupants there. It's like you could sort of demonstrate that with the facade, but it seems like we're just sticking with the long elevation on that side. But I don't think that these canopies do a lot, but on the front of the other one. I guess I'm not wholly opposed to them. I just think that they're not really accomplishing much from an aesthetic point of view.
Still have the steel building. It's no different. It's just a little bit more stuff on it.
Can't hear you, Lisa.
I think it's just still the steel building. There's nothing on it. It doesn't, we talked about different materials other than steel. I guess that didn't get thought of. I don't like it.
It's like geometric shapes just floating in thin air.
Well, the conundrum for me is that we have a grandfathered use, an industrial use that is now in a business district. And your expectation is that because you have an industrial use, you can use an industrial style building. But what we've been saying is that we don't have an opposition to the use. It's the architecture of the industrial use that we're opposed to. So either the architecture gets changed to something that's more compatible with a business district, or maybe the industrial use goes into an industrial zone. Maybe it's the wrong use for this location. So I don't think the canopies add anything. I mean, they're just like decals. So I wouldn't be accepting of this style of architecture.
Hmm.
Can I ask, and this is from a complete non-architect's point of view, which I will readily confess. I know a couple of the earlier comments were that some of the objection is just that how much sort of continuous face there is, and asking for maybe some differentiation among the 4 units. If the applicant worked on something with different coloring of the 4 units, would that be something that would make an appreciable improvement in the facade appearance in you folks' mind?
It would still be a metal building, right?
Right. It'll be an industrial building.
Well, there are industrial building products that aren't as monotonous and uninteresting as this facade. I mean, MBCI has multiple kinds of panels, different textures, different colors. This vocabulary is just so limited that it doesn't work.
So Diana, you're suggesting that a way to break up the whole scale on looking on the front end of an elevation of this building is to almost look like it's 4 different buildings but connected together, almost as if you were to look at like, 2 duplexes together. It's like each one is separate in its own entity, and somehow that will break up the front part of this building. But
I mean, I guess, yeah. But I think, in all honesty, what I'd like to see is a different kind of architecture completely. Like Tom is saying, if we're going to try to spruce it up so that it doesn't look as industrial, I think we're not doing that yet. And I mean, I'm just opposed to sort of tacking things on. So I'm not sure that breaking it up vertically, again, if it's still a metal building, is going to suffice. I mean, I I wasn't joking at the last meeting when I said there are award-winning industrial buildings out there that are not crazy expensive. So, I mean, maybe it is metal. Maybe you get more creative in the way that it's applied. I don't know. I think this one's going to be monotonous, though. Does that answer your question, Michelle?
Yeah, and you're not necessarily complaining about the product being metal. You're just saying that it looks like just too simple of a metal building.
Yeah, I mean, you could use metal panel that's,
Yeah.
There's all kinds of metal panel, like Tom was saying.
Okay.
So,
And Dave, do you have feedback?
No, I agree. I mean, you can look, there's so many different buildings, like, obviously I'm a big skier in Vermont, New Hampshire, that are metal buildings that have very different facades, and they're fake outs and they look like beautiful old country stores, but it's still a metal building. So there's a lot of different, choices to pick from. I agree with that. Absolutely.
that's also something worth Googling, probably. Dave suggested.
So Nick, what are your thoughts based on the feedback?
Well, initially, the buildings we tried breaking up the front with a vinyl siding that, even though it was below the windows and maybe should have gone up to the top of the windows, it still made the buildings look too long, too horizontal. So we were basically told that wasn't a good idea, to break it up. And so we just stuck with doing it all metal. And we did look into Tom's suggestion of some different metal sidings, but ultimately they all have some kind of corrugation to them. I shouldn't say all, but most of them do. So the look is still, we can't change. It's still going to be a metal building with metal siding. I mean, I can change the colors. I could change the pattern. It could be more smooth panels versus having a lot of corrugations in them, but it's still going to be a metal building. There's no changing it.
Is it involving an architect?
Yeah.
I mean, you can build an industrial building without one, but given the sort of comments that we've made, that might be worth a try. I'm not opposed to metal. I just think that, it's 160 feet long. So it's a lot of metal.
Mm-hmm. It's going to have a lot of trees in front of it too.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't need the trees and the fencing if you had a decent building, is my opinion.
I agree with that.
If it were an attractive structure, you'd like to see it, but the strategy was to hide it.
Okay. When is your next meeting with the ZBA?
The 24th.
4th, maybe.
Yeah, 24th.
So some of the board members are, we have 2 architects on it. We have a landscape architect and Lisa and myself on architects. I think the consensus is that they still don't like it, and maybe suggesting hiring a formal architect or going back to the architect you're using and asking for something to break up the scale of the building, or I don't know. I think they've both indicated, how does the board feel like, Tom and Diana, you're really skilled in this area much more than the other 3 of us? Does something come to mind where you could just sort of quickly Google and pick out a building and say, here's what I'm thinking about, and then let them go to town with that? Or do you feel
Well,
like,
go to MBCI website, which is a metal building product. They have all kinds of gallery of photos, industrial, commercial, educational, and they have a variety of metal sidings, smooth, textured, horizontal, vertical. There's just a great deal of options. And what we see before us in this drawing is it's just monotonous. There's no attempt to break up the scale of this building.
Yeah, I'm looking at that website that you recommended, Tom. There are some very nice examples there.
And where are you looking under the
pretty
photo
cool.
gallery that I'm looking at now?
I don't know.
I mean, it's just one of many. I mean, that's
Yeah,
one I'm familiar with because I'm doing a metal building now, so I'm knowledgeable of what's out there.
right. Okay. Well, I'm on that website now, and there's certainly a lot of different types of buildings here that you can look at. There's a gallery, there's a resource center.
They have some nice photos of metal siding that's horizontal. You can look at, you can compose a facade with different types of metal, even industrial metals. That could be really interesting.
Mm,
Yeah, if you just took the lower 7-foot section of the building where you have the green line, just turn those lines horizontally and maybe stagger the roof heights. I mean, boom, you've got a totally different building. But I'm not supposed to design the building. I'm just saying it's not that difficult to break up the mass of a metal building. Little different material use, changing colors, break the roof line. It's not complicated.
We've changed the colors several times, and we
I don't
went
care
with
about the
your,
color.
your selection.
I just threw that out there because it was, oh, well, if we made it green, we wouldn't see it. Again, it's all part of this narrative that we're trying to get a better looking building on a very public street leading into town. And
It's amazing. Everywhere on Route 20 I've built, whether it was the Marlboro side or some other side, it was always the gateway to Northborough. It's incredible.
well, I'm not calling it a gateway. I'm just saying it's a very public road leading into town. And all the buildings you've done on Main Street are great, Tim. This I wouldn't put in that category.
Can I share my?
Well, we were looking to improve the site.
The site would be, but the building wouldn't help.
Can you see that? I'm not saying you need to do this. It's just an example to Michelle's question. This is industrial. It looks industrial, but it's sort of a nicer use of material, and they're addressing issues of scale. And I think that's kind of what that goes to what we were talking about. This is still all metal panel. They're just breaking it up and doing something more interesting with it. Yours could be definitely simpler, but it's that kind of thing. I think this website is a great resource.
mm.
Anyway.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I've listened to some of it. I've gone over the website. Appreciate the input.
So today is October 29th, and you have to go before the ZBA on the 20th. Is that correct, Kathy?
Before.
24.
24th,
24th.
November 24th.
So do you guys want to try and come back again in 2 weeks?
I think that's a question for Nick and Tim in regard to the buildings. I think we can refine the the landscaping plan to address Dave's comments. It's a question of addressing on the building side.
Michelle, just as, I mean, of course, it's up to Tim and Nick if they want to come back, but just to, meeting wise, for staff and when I know licenses are available, November 10th is a possibility. November 12th, I have another meeting already. That's a Thursday. November 5th, you already have a meeting that you're going to do the design guidelines. That's only a week from tonight anyways, but you could possibly look at November 10th. And then I can check. I'm pretty sure there's a license available on the 19th, which is a Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how Tim and you guys feel, but I feel like maybe if we did November 10th, I don't want you to go any later because you're trying to wrap this up. And so if we can tweak things after that, then you can be all set and ready to go for the design, for our ZBA on the 24th. I'd rather get as close. I feel like if we wait to the latter one, it's too
Yep.
close to your ZBA meeting. Is everyone available on November 10th at 6 p.m.?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so everyone is available. Tim and Nick and James, how do you feel about that? Are you willing to come back?
Sure.
And
Yeah, we can
see
try
if we
to do
can
it.
continue to work on it and look on
Sure.
this website and take some of the suggestions. It just seems like the final item that we need to address, and then we should be all set. So let's pencil it in for November 10th at 6 to 7 p.m. And we'll wrap up the this design part. Hopefully it'll all work out. And, take it from there.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you, folks.
All right. So I think we're all set on this segment of the meeting. So Scott, if you want to, Nick and Tim and James are going to go off and have their dinner.
Thank you.
And Michelle, I don't, the two issues that I just needed to touch base with you all on, I already have, so I don't have anything else.
Okay.
As I continue to tell you, I owe you minutes. And at some point, there'll be a little slowdown so I can catch up. So I don't have any minutes for you tonight.
Okay. So the expectation is that we're meeting next Thursday night, November 5th, correct?
Yep,
And by Monday, sometime on Monday, you'll
Yep.
be sending to us what Judy Barrett has sent on.
yes.
Okay. And do you expect us to respond back prior to the meeting or just prepared to discuss it?
No, I think you should be prepared, with comments and questions for
Okay.
the meeting.
Yep. Okay. All right.
Is that a
Okay.
Thursday or a Tuesday night?
That is a Thursday night, next
Thursday night.
Thursday.
Next Tuesday.
Wait a minute, Thursday or Tuesday?
Next-
November?
November 5th is Tuesday.
Yeah, no,
Fifth,
November 5th is a Thursday.
Okay,
It's Tuesday. All right.
got it.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay. Yep. All right. Thank you.
all right, good night, everyone.
All right.
Thanks, Scott.
Bye.
Night.
Night.
Night.